Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to all horror fans in other worlds. Here you'll find stories that will thrill you and make you think twice before turning off the lights. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and give us a like so we can grow together with your support.
As you grow older, your desires become simpler, and the one thing you long for most is peace, to live the remainder of your days in quiet serenity. I felt the same, but everything changed when that radio entered my life and turned my final years into something entirely unexpected. I'm your Uncle Saeed, 66 years old. I used to be an electrician, repairing electrical devices alongside my main job. For years, I worked for a company, spending about 43 years in the electrician business. When I reached the age of 60, I decided to retire, hoping to live peacefully off my pension. After all, I didn't have any children, and my wife had passed away 5 years earlier. My life might seem mundane or uneventful to you, but in truth, I had found contentment in it. That quiet routine became my comfort after the loneliness set in. Yet, even that fragile peace was disrupted when that radio entered my world. And little did I know, the calm I had grown accustomed to would soon be swept away. One day I was strolling through the market buying some things. I noticed that one of the vegetable sellers had a big radio on the ground next to him. It was an old-style radio, the kind from back in the day. My curiosity got the better of me, and I approached him and asked, "Is that radio yours, son?"
Yes, sir. I bought it from a junk dealer. He told me it works fine, but when I took it home, it didn't work. I realized he had tricked me.
"And how much did you buy it for, son?"
Around $20.
"And you expected a radio worth $20 to accurately work?"
Well, that's the price he told me.
"All right, I could buy it from you and give you the $20.
What will you do with it, sir?
I'll try to fix it, and if I can't, I'll find some other use for it."
All right, then it's yours.
I took the radio and walked away, not sure why I had bought it. Maybe because it was so old and it caught my attention. Maybe it reminded me of myself. No one really needed me anymore, and no one asked about me. Honestly, I don't know. What mattered was that I now had something to try to fix and pass the time with. When I got home, my curiosity kicked in, and I opened up the radio to see what was inside. I expected to find broken wires and thought it would need new parts, but when I opened the radio, it was completely empty. Yes, you heard me right. The radio was entirely hollow, even though from the outside it looked perfectly fine, and it was heavy too, which made me think all its parts were still inside. But when I opened it, it was hollow. At that moment, I smiled and thought to myself, a veteran electrician like you, Saeed, getting tricked like this? Oh well, you win some, you lose some. I wasn't going to listen to anything on it anyway. I closed the radio back up and put it aside. After I was done, I sat there staring at it, and a strange idea came to me. What if I pretended the radio worked? I could plug it in and play around with it for fun. So that's what I did. I plugged it in and started singing old songs as if the radio was playing them. Suddenly, I stopped. I heard something unclear. The radio actually started working. But how? The radio was completely empty, and what was even stranger was that the sound was so clear and loud. I stood there in front of the radio for 5 minutes, unable to comprehend what was happening. I went to the radio and unplugged it, and it immediately stopped. I plugged it back in, and it started again. I wasn't dreaming or imagining things. I opened the radio again to check, and yes, it was still hollow. There was nothing inside. I wasn't wrong. I closed it back up, plugged it in again, and it started working. I won't lie to you. I was scared. I unplugged the radio and decided I needed to get rid of it. I took the radio, opened the door, and put it outside on the street. Then I went back inside. I sat there, my mind racing, trying to make sense of what had happened. As usual, curiosity got the better of me. I went back, brought the radio inside, and decided to listen to what was playing. When I turned it on, I heard someone speaking, telling a story.
You could call it the story of the oppressor and the oppressed. I am both the oppressor and the oppressed at the same time. My name is Mustafa. After graduating with a degree in commerce, I worked at an import-export office. Even though I was just starting out, I quickly proved that I was hardworking, smart, and ambitious, earning my boss's trust. In a short time, I received 2 raises. But I was ambitious, and I thought I needed to have my own business. I started saving money for 2 years until I was ready. I spoke to my boss, and he was very understanding and respectful of my decision. From there, I became something completely different. After opening my office, my business started doing well, and my financial situation kept improving day by day. My office became one of the most famous import-export offices, and I started thinking about settling down and building a family. I wanted to find a good woman to share my life with. Not long after, I met Mona. She came from a respectable family. From the first moment I saw her, I knew she was the one. After getting to know her and liking her, I proposed, and she accepted. We didn't stay engaged for long, and soon we were married. From the moment we got married, my fortune grew. I made a lot of money from my business. I had a daughter and a son, and my life was perfect. I upgraded from a small apartment to a villa, and instead of just one car, I bought a car for me and one for my wife. I was the happiest man in the world, but I didn't know that life was preparing a difficult test for me. That test came when I met a friend who worked in the stock market. From what I understood, he made a lot of money from it. One day, he asked me for a loan to invest in a sure deal. And since money wasn't an issue for me, I lent him the money. A month later, he came back with the loan and some extra money. "What's this?" I asked him. He said it was my share of the profits. "But I didn't make any deals," I told him. "Well, I invested your money in the deal, and these are your earnings," he explained. When I counted the money, I realized it was 3 times the amount I had lent him. I was astonished. How could he make such a large sum in such a short time? He interrupted my thoughts, saying, "You could say I'm the most famous guy in the stock market." I told him, "If you are earning that much, I could invest more money with you." He said, "Sure, no problem." I gave him a small amount at first, just to test the waters. I wasn't ready to take a big risk. For 3 years, my friend Khaled continued to bring me good returns every month. One day Khaled came to me and said, "Mustafa, this is the deal of a lifetime." "What deal?" I asked. "A big one. A stock purchase that will yield 5 times the investment, but we need a large sum of money." "Is there any risk?" I asked. "None at all," he assured me. "It's a guaranteed deal." "How much do you need?" I asked. "As much as you can gather," he said. "I'm telling you, this is the deal of a lifetime. After this deal, you could put all your money in the bank and live off it for the rest of your life without ever needing to work again." "All right," I said. "Give me 2 days to think it over and gather the money." "No problem," he said. "I'll give you 2 days to think and gather your money. The deal won't wait much longer." After Khaled left, I couldn't stop thinking about what he'd said. I trusted him completely. I had no reason not to, but if something went wrong, I'd be risking almost everything I owned. What if something happened to the business? I stayed up late that night, alone in the dark, thinking about it. I didn't want to share what I was thinking with anyone, not even my wife. I didn't want to drag her into it. While I was sitting and thinking, I heard a voice in my head telling me, "Don't miss this chance, Mustafa. You've known Khalid for 3 years, so there's nothing to fear. He's also good at the stock market, and you've worked with him before. Besides, your own business could face problems. You might import goods, and the ship could sink, or the goods might be spoiled and seized. Every job has its downsides, and if you miss out on Khalid's deal, you'll regret it for the rest of your life." At that moment, I made the decision and started gathering money in any way possible. I even borrowed money from people and mortgaged both of my cars and the villa. I was almost entirely invested in this deal, risking everything I owned. I called Khalid and told him I was ready, and I gave him the money. I kept calling Khalid, and he would always answer, telling me to relax, that everything was going smoothly, and that within a few days he would bring me both the money and the profits. Then one day, when I tried calling him, his phone was off. I tried again, but it was still off. I started to panic. I asked everyone who might know him, but I discovered that Khalid had vanished into thin air. I couldn't believe that he had scammed me and taken all my money. I'd known him for 3 years. How did I get fooled like this? I couldn't accept it and kept hoping he would show up any minute. But after a few days, that hope faded away. I couldn't bring myself to tell my family what had happened, and I couldn't face my wife Mona to tell her that we had lost everything. I sat alone in the dark, trying to find a solution. That's when I heard a voice in my head again telling me, "You're going to destroy your wife and children after you've gotten them used to living a comfortable life with plenty of money. Could you really bear to see them ruined? Death would be better for them and for you too. Kill them and then kill yourself before they face poverty and humiliation." The thought consumed me, and I couldn't see anything else. I decided to go through with it. I got up, grabbed the license gun I had, went into my children's room, muffled the sound with a pillow, and shot them one after the other. When they were all dead, it was my turn. I pointed the gun at my chest and pulled the trigger. That's when I saw something strange. I saw a faceless figure. I asked him, "Who are you? Don't you recognize me, Mustafa? I'm your old friend, the one who's been with you for a long time." "My friend? I don't know you. How can you not know me? Who's been advising you, telling you what to do and what not to do? Honestly, you've been very obedient, Mustafa." At that moment, I woke up to find myself in the hospital. The only survivor of my family was me. I had a nervous breakdown, and when the police came, I told them everything. I was put on trial. The lawyers tried to defend me, but I asked the judge to sentence me to death. I had no desire to live when my entire family was gone, and the judge did sentence me to death. But every day, I dreamed of that strange being, showing me visions of my wife and children, lying dead. Until finally, the day came for my execution, and at last, I would be reunited with my family in a better place.
Mustafa's story really touched me. And as he said, you never know if Mustafa is the oppressor or the oppressed.
If you've made it this far, thank you for listening and following along. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give us a like and comment to let us know your thoughts.